Hello YouTube, this is a Satsu 5 and today I have a comparison video between the Cold Steel Vaquero and the Emerson Super Commando. And basically what this video is about is my growing disappointment in the Emerson Super Commando. I want to compare the two knives, show the pros and cons of both, and then I'm going to come to the conclusion that I kind of gave away in the beginning of this video. But let's talk about the knives. Let's get started. First off, I don't feel that the Super Commando is that great of a value knife. This cost $260 on knifeworks.com. This one's $37. So basically, for the price of this one, I can get about 6 of these. It's true, there is a difference between the knives. You get G10, you get 154cm, you get the wave opening feature, lino lock, and with the cold steel you get FRN, which is very well textured. You get the triad lock and AUS-8. There's nothing wrong with the AUS-8. It's a legitimate steel. It'll hold a decent edge. It'll keep it throughout the day. It's easy to sharpen. And something to keep in mind about the Super Commando, the 154cm that they use on their blades, they back the heat treat up. It's not to its full potential as far as edge retention, is because they want a more durable knife, not a more sharper knife for a longer period of time. So it's not going to hold its edge as long as other 154cms, but it won't snap as easily either. Now, I'm trying to go through this pretty quickly because this is my third time to film the video, and I tend to ramble, and I want to do this quick and efficiently. Let's look at the blade shapes. Both have the recoil S shape, which is cool. Let's see if I have anything to cut. I got this old receipt, and basically what happens is the valley of the recoil drives the edge into the belly of the blade. So if you're cutting fibrous material or rope, strapping, so on and so forth, you got a valley in here that gathers the material and pushes it through the belly of the blade. But these tips are very different. This one has a more acute point, a lot better for thrusting and piercing. This one, the tip is not quite as acute. So Emerson knives are kind of known as a tactical knife, or tactical photos, but in my opinion, this knife doesn't give you that much advantage in a self-defense situation. If I'm going to pierce or thrust, this more acute point will do the job a lot better. Now, there's a good side to this point. There's a good positive attribute that this knife has. If you're getting someone out of a wrecked vehicle, someone had a wreck, they can't get their seatbelt off, I'd much rather have the back of this blade go against my body to cut the seatbelt than this one, which will dig into me, which I almost cut myself. But with this one, you can slide it pretty easily without digging into the victim. So there's a good side to this blade. Even though it's really expensive, it does have its benefits. What about the ergonomics? Watch this. Emerson is one of the production knife companies that really started the ergonomics department. I would say Ernest Emerson and Fred Perrin were some of the first to consider ergonomics in knives. And watch this. Got the two knives. Duh. They have almost identical ergonomics when it comes to the front half of the handle. They both have this, choil, and it's pretty similar. But this one has an area where you can choke back if you want to do a little bit of hacking, if you need a little bit more reach. So not only is this knife a little bit more versatile in that respect in a self-defense encounter, you get more reach, you get a battle point, and yeah, I think a stronger lock. If lock strength is important to you, I think you'd be better off with a triad lock. Something to keep in mind, Lynn Thompson told us that he considers 5.5-inch photos and fixed blades to be kind of on the small end when it comes to self-defense knives, fighting knives, tactical photos. And he says when you're using a 5.5-inch photo, you're using the tip a lot because you don't have a whole lot of blade to put onto the person if you want to stay out of cutting range. So if you're doing long range knife fighting, the 5.5-inch folding knife is pretty small, and it's not going to give you as much reach as, let's just say, a Bowie knife, a machete, a baseball bat, or something like that. What's the two categories of these knives? What category would I put one and the other? Tactical photo for the vaquero self-defense knife, hard use or heavy cutting task knife. I'll call the Emerson a tactical EDC, which is an EDC knife for tactical-minded people who might put it into self-defense use if there was an emergency. An emergency tactical photo, basically. Not your preferred fighting knife. It doesn't do EDC task well. It doesn't do defensive task well. And it's not because this knife doesn't get sharp and it doesn't cut well, but for EDC, which for EDC knife, 4 inches is the max that I want to carry. I'm comfortable using a 4-inch EDC knife, but this blade shape doesn't lend itself to opening up mail, opening up boxes, breaking down boxes. It doesn't it's not conducive for those cutting tasks. That's why I prefer, for my urban lifestyle, for EDC task, I like the Warncliffe blade. If this was 4 inch long, I'd still carry it, but this one's smaller. But Warncliffes, when they're somewhat dull, they'll still rip open envelopes and boxes pretty easily, as opposed to this knife can be really sharp and it won't get to mail or boxes as easily as a Warncliffe. But yes, I'll call this a tactical EDC. It's an EDC knife for tactical-minded people. You might use it in an emergency, but it shouldn't be the primary self-defense knife. Let's just say, for example, you don't live in Texas. You can't legally carry something that's 5.5 inches or larger. I always say carry something that's the biggest, the biggest and most comfortable knife you can legally carry. So if you can't legally carry this extra large Voyager, you carry something a little bit smaller, but it's still legal to carry in your area, and you can comfortably carry. And by the way, they make these knives in smaller versions, so you can still get a affordable knife with a superior combative blade shape or profile to the Emerson. Emerson's made in America, which I'm all for buying American-made knives, but I expect it to perform to my standards, and this one hasn't. For me, I don't really care for it that much. You might like it. This one, for as far as a self-defense knife, I think performs a little bit better. It thrust is better. I think you can do some heavier duty tasks with this knife, as far as hacking and stuff, which I'm not going to chop down a tree with this knife, but if you need a light machete, this will get it done. Forgive me, I'm not feeling too well. My mind's going all over the place. But yeah, this knife, I tell you what, this is an expensive knife. It costs $260 for the plain edge black coated blade on knifeworks.com, but it doesn't feel like an expensive knife. It feels like a beetle knife to me, something that I can abuse and not have to worry about, even though it has a weaker lock. I've actually used this knife to open up a can of chili, and I did that on video, and it did it very well, and the blade coating held up fairly well. It scratched a little bit off, but it's not highly reflective, so it's not going to, draw too much attention if you're into the blacked out blades. But it doesn't feel like a very expensive knife to me. It doesn't feel like a knife I have to baby. It feels like a beetle knife. It's like a hammer. There's very few hammers in the world that people feel they have to baby and take care of. A hammer's a hammer. This is a hammer to me. I can use it for a lot of different tasks and not feel bad about it. But you know what? I can use this knife for a lot of different tasks and not feel bad about it because it's a affordable knife. It's $34, I think, on knifeworks.com. So you can buy 6 of these for the price of that one, basically. I guess that's about it. I don't want to blabber on for too long. I will be selling this knife in somewhat near future. Hopefully get some money out of it, get some new things in to play with and experiment with. But yeah, the more I use knives, the more I'm just not too happy with this particular one, and I don't really use it anymore, so I thought I might as well get rid of it. Thought before I get rid of it, I'll make one last video with it, comparing it to another blade that's similar in blade shape. And another advantage that the Emerson has, it uses standard driving or screw heads, so you can use a Phillips head screwdriver for the body screws and a flat head or a coin for the pivot, so you can take care of it without having the fancy torque bits that tend to strip out very easily. So that's it. I hope y'all have a great day. I'm a Satsu 5, and I'm out.